California, and today is Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021. I'm joined today by Carlos Ponce in Cuernavaca, Mexico, and Kim Lantis in Hermosillo, Mexico, my partners in crime. Hi, guys. Welcome back.
Thank you, Tulio. It's good to be here as ever.
Yes.
All right. And today we're speaking with Jim Berryhill of DecisionLink about really customer management, but a new category of customer management. But before we go into that and understand a little bit more, let's talk with Jim and get to know him a little bit. Jim, please tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go into the DecisionLink. But please introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, thank you, Tulio, and it's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to share. So a little bit about me. I spent 30 plus years in enterprise software sales as an individual contributor, first line manager, second line manager, third line manager. And in my experience in the software industry, and by the way, when I started a big software company, it was about $10 million a year, a little different today. But in my experience, I was fortunate very early on to get a foundational or grounding training about what sales is really about. And sales is really about the customer. And the customer is about value. Customers buy based on value. There's two kinds of value. There's qualitative, maybe the emotional response, the feel-good parts of things. This is going to improve our business. It's going to make us more competitive. We're going to reduce costs. We're going to create more jobs. We're going to improve our customers' businesses and so forth. And then there's the quantitative, which is, and it's going to be worth this much money. Don't like to make everything about money, but ultimately in sales, you have to pass muster in the office of the chief financial officer. And it's got to have economic value and stand up. I like to say, if as a salesperson I ask you for $1, I ought to be able to tell you what you're going to get for your dollar. How much money you're going to save, how much you're going to make, what kind of risk you're going to mitigate, and so forth to go along with the qualitative aspect. So I got a primer in that very early in my career, and it's sustained me through 30 years. About 10 years ago, John Porter, my co-founder and a wonderful colleague, and I started DecisionLink on the premise of building an application to help sellers in this communication of value, qualitative and quantitative value. Previously, it had been done by hand, expert resources using Excel. And if you think about the marketplace in general, we have applications for financials and for human resources, for manufacturing and distribution, for game playing, for all sorts of things. We felt needed an application for value management. So we started 10 years ago, and it's been a great journey, very invigorating and so forth. And I'm delighted to be able to be here and share a little bit about that with y'all today.
Thanks, Jim. So you touched a little bit on DecisionLink. Can you tell us what you guys do exactly? What is the offering?
Yeah. So DecisionLink, our product or solution is called Value Cloud. So it's a cloud-based application, runs on any kind of device, laptops, cell phones, tablets, etc., through Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics, popular CRMs out there, through our own web interface. But it gives the ability for a salesperson like me to be able to produce in a really short period of time a value proposition or a value hypothesis that helps me communicate the value my target prospect would receive based on based on metrics and experiences with other customers and so forth. In essence, to make the conversation, the sales conversation, about the customer and the value they're going to achieve, instead of about who I am, what I do, and that sort of thing. In the selling vernacular, we talk about graduating from selling features and functions to selling solutions, to selling customer value, and hopefully customer value that's differentiated from my competitors. So with the Value Cloud, I, as a sales rep, can interact with the system based on what I know and what I'm already doing. I know who my prospect is. I know what industry they're in. Probably have an idea of the use cases associated with them. I hope I know the role of the person I'm calling on. A marketing person conversation is different than a CIO, information officer, or security analyst. Probably know who I'm competing against, and have a understanding of geographic location and other variables that make it really difficult to create a value proposition without without a application to do so. And the Value Cloud does that hard work for me, based on me providing, as I said, a little bit of information about what I already know and what I'm already doing, and gives me the ability to have intelligent and even teaching or provocative conversations with buyers to make the conversation about them and what the outcomes and benefits that they're going to get. Sounds completely logical, right? Every selling conversation ought to be that way. And yet buyers say that it only happens about 6 or 8% of the time.
Wow.
It's not because sellers don't want to. It's because sellers don't have the tooling and the acumen to do that consistently. It's too complicated. We build a system to take the complication out, let the system handle the complication, and empower and enable sales reps to do what we ask them to do, which is have great conversations.
All right, Jim. Sounds like you guys created a new category in this customer value management. So we're going to have to dig in on that. But before we do, let's introduce the topic of conversation and get started. Kim?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Tulio. Thank you, Jim, for joining us today. The topic of choice per Jim is why customer value management is the next big thing in business and how you can use it to win customers for life. So the question we're trying to answer is how to shift from just winning deals to winning customers for life. You already touched on, CRMs versus CVMs. What do you do to distinguish yourself from that? For the untrained ear, they might sound sort of synonymous. So what does customer value management do that customer relationship management doesn't?
You've hit one of my favorite questions, Kim. So, a fairly worldwide enjoyed sport is basketball. And when I was in college a long time ago, the university I went to, I kept the scorebook for the basketball team for a couple of years. And that's a really important job. And that's what CRM does. It keeps the scorebook. It's a system of record about customers and prospects and who called on who when and so on and so forth. So I was really valuable keeping the scorebook, but my friend John Hughes was scoring about 20 points a night for the basketball team. Now, who do you think anybody knew whose name was? Did they know John Hughes, the scorer, or Jim Berryhill, the scorekeeper?
Definitely Jim.
In modern day, fast forward 40 years, Michael Jordan, or the guy keeping the scorebook for the Chicago Bulls. And it's really simple. Value management helps sellers score, and CRM helps sellers keep track of scoring. They're both valuable, both important, but I would posit maybe a rhetorical question. What's more important, scoring or keeping score? And for that reason, customer value management is rapidly emerging as a category in the marketplace. We were recently invested in by Excel Ventures, one of the top 5 venture funds in the world, and their top partner, Samir Gandhi, one of the most brilliant investing backer of CrowdStrike and Slack and some little companies like those. And so we're super excited. The marketplace is gravitating to the notion of, hey, I can have a system to help us score. And maybe more important than that, take care of customers based on what customers care about, which is their business metrics and so forth, in a systemic, automated, efficient, repeatable, and high quality way. And that's what value management's about. And I love the basketball metaphor. For a soccer metaphor, I don't know current, but Pele would be he'd be the quintessential superstar and the scorekeeper for the Brazilian soccer team. Nobody knows his name or hers. So anyway.
No, super great analogy. Thank you. It really makes things very, very clear. Carlos, did you have something you wanted to ask?
2 things, yes. Well, first of all, I went to DecisionLink's website and I saw a chatbot at the bottom, and there was a lady that said, "How can I help you?" And then I was going to say, "Take me to your leader," and then, "No, wait a minute, he's right here. I'm speaking with him right now." Jim, you and I, when we were having a conversation off the air before we went live, and we discussed the possibility of touching in on how technologies like the ones that you're using at DecisionLink might have had to either change, shift, or change completely, or even pivot during COVID. So would you mind sharing with us and the audience how this has happened at DecisionLink, or what's your take on this? How the whole, all of past year, I don't need to go into details, everyone knows about it. How has last year and a little bit of this year too has forced companies like DecisionLink to pivot or change?
Yeah. So, a question and a subject top of mind. We're prayerfully hoping that the vaccines are made available to everyone in the world. And, we have first world country problems here in the United States, and they pale in comparison to most of the world. So for our business, or for the marketplace that we serve, sales in the high-tech industry has traditionally been about 50 or 60% of salespeople have been outside. They visit customers, and 40 or 50% have had inside. They communicate via technologies like we're using right now, and so forth. The pandemic made everyone an inside salesperson. Instead of an organization with 1,000 salespeople, 400 inside, 600 outside, 1,000 are inside. And that has forced organizations to get better at how they are communicating with their customers and prospects. I am a big non-fan of what I call dumb sales conversations. "Hi, I'm Jim from DecisionLink. Would you like to buy some Value Cloud?" I honestly got a message like that from a senior sales rep of one of the largest, most sophisticated software companies in the world a couple of weeks ago. It infuriates me. We are better than that. But the lack of, or the inability to visit customers face to face, to do the social bonding, the relationship selling, has forced us at large to get more specific about why we're valuable, and as opposed to why we're relatable, if you will. And while the pandemic has been horrible, that has been, in my estimation, for the selling and go-to-market profession, a good thing because it's made us be better. Now, it's ironic to me. We're smart people in business. It's ironic to me. It's taken something like the pandemic to drive organizations to get better at providing and communicating and focusing on value for their prospects and customers. But that is a massive thing that has happened over the past year, and I think that is sustainable. Will never not be the case. Another thing that has occurred, and so for us, we're a small company. We don't have a lot of money to travel around, so we were always doing it on platforms like this. We were COVID ready before we even heard of it. So we were fortunate and blessed from that perspective of readiness. We're also decentralized, so we didn't have to stop going to the office and so forth. Everybody kind of worked from home already because we didn't have lots of funds for office space. We had a smallish office in Atlanta and so forth, but 65-70% of our employees work from home. So we were prepared, so we prospered through the pandemic because we help sellers be about better communicating about their clients. Numerous of our clients used our platform to develop COVID-ready, pandemic-ready offerings of their products and solutions. Some call that agile or being nimble, dynamic, organic, and so forth. But at the end of the day, companies in business today have to be nimble and responsive to the changing requirements in the marketplace. And again, I'm sad that it took something like COVID and the pandemic to drive businesses to be more of what they should be, which is agile, nimble, and customer-centric. But that has, in fact, happened. One of our customers, one of the greatest companies in the world, I think they were the top 2 years ago, they were Forbes' #1 company as far as employee satisfaction and lots of other metrics, is ServiceNow. And ServiceNow, in less than a week, created a COVID responsiveness application and value proposition out of their rich catalog of technology capabilities. And they were able to do so because they're a digital company that's responsive and agile, and they produce the value framework for that using Value Cloud from DecisionLink in less than a week, which is absolutely amazing. Another one of now they're a big company with lots of money and all that. Another one of our customers, a small company called Aptio. They had one professional create a pandemic.
What's the name again?
Aptio, APPTIO, with a great Australian professional named Ben Allard. And Ben created a pandemic/COVID response application for the Aptio portfolio using Value Cloud over a weekend. So being nimble and agile is just massively important. And that's what we've seen great companies do as a result or in response to the pandemic and COVID challenge.
So with your products, okay, so
Jim, quick question here.
I think there's a delay. Sorry, Carlos. I think you're behind me.
I'm ready to answer.
I'll go. Oh, Carlos looks confused, so I'll take it. So let's talk about DecisionLink.
There's some delay there.
There
There
is.
is some delay here. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah,
Ask your
Jim.
question.
Quick question here before.
The
Yeah,
message.
please. What would you compare the value management tool from the perspective of other breakthrough technologies?
Yeah. Um, so I love this question. And when I answer it, some people think that guy's crazy. And that's okay. I am a little bit.
Hmm.
But
Aren't we all?
yeah, I hope so. Back in 1990, CRM didn't exist. Fundamentally didn't exist.
Mhm.
As sales reps, we kept our contact data in spreadsheets. There was a little application called Act. There were Templeton time management
I remember
binders,
that.
and yeah, of course. And CRM didn't exist. In less than 10 years, CRM was $1 billion business. In another 10 years, it was $15 billion. Today, it's 40 and it's projected to be 70 or $75 billion in 10 years. And it was a combination of technology and people and process. The people was us salespeople. The process was keeping track of our customers and prospects and phone numbers. And well, not many people had email addresses in 1990, but that evolved. Addresses and phone numbers and who administrative assistants are, which is where the real power in most organizations exists, and so forth. And then due to the advent of the personal computer, and then the internet, we started having technology that could automate and support that function and enhance that function. And today, I still have a little book with phone numbers in it, and people think I'm a Neanderthal or something. It is just a part of the core fabric of what we do is CRM. There's a little application out on the internet called LinkedIn, where people keep their personal, professional profiles and so on and so forth up to date, and it's a massive asset in the business world for collegial groups, for companies to communicate and interact, et cetera, et cetera. A few years ago, somebody got the bright idea that it would be good to do contracts and legal documents and so forth using electronic signature. And a little company called DocuSign solved that problem. And there's several more like that solve what I call technology enabling of long tail long tail problems.
So let's go get back to the little company of DecisionLink. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just one point. We think that value management is that kind of thing. And that's where the crazy part is. Like y'all, a little company with 75 employees and so on and so forth. You think you're going to be the next Salesforce? We do. And so does Excel, and so does some other folks like that. But we have solved a problem where automation can bring capability that's needed by all. I call it the democratization of value. And Carlos, to your question, that's the track we think we're on. Which is to solve a problem that creates a new category and a massive marketplace and beneficial to our users. It's not just, and I'll segue just a little bit. Part of my motivation is I believe that selling is a noble profession. If somebody doesn't sell, nobody has dinner. And the premise of helping us, the sales community, do the job we want to do, is something that we're about, which serves sellers and buyers and everybody. So.
Mhm.
Sorry for the long-winded answer.
No,
But,
that's fine.
yeah.
What I wanted to come back to DecisionLink, and when it comes to value management, I think one of my biggest questions is for your application and the automation, what are the data points? Like, let's do this chicken. What comes first, the chicken or the egg? So I'm thinking, I as a company have my value propositions. I know who I am. I know, how I can benefit my prospects. So I have my value propositions mixed in with, let's say, my prospects' identified needs. So what is that cycle and how does that work? Or what are the data points that you're utilizing to determine this information or what our approach should be when it comes to our clients?
Yeah, so great question. And part of what you identified there, Kim, relates to acumen of the salesperson. And salespeople run anywhere from novice to intermediate to highly skilled to expert. And our target is to not make everybody an expert, but is to raise every level a notch or two. Great benefit comes everywhere in the cycle that way. And so for those who have a little bit of acumen and a lot of desire, we can, being able to do so helps them and so forth. From the standpoint of, I get asked often, well, when do you introduce value in the conversation? It's like from the first words out of my mouth. Hi, I'm Jim Berryhill from DecisionLink, and we're about customer value. That's the mission of our company. And so a part of our technology gives the ability for our customers to publish their value content out of DecisionLink on their websites, so customers and prospects can interact with it before they ever talk to a salesperson. And to be able to understand what the qualitative and quantitative value is in numerical terms that is directionally correct and enticing. Statistics from Gartner and lots of the analyst organizations say that the traditional sales cycle is 70 to 80% over before a prospect ever talks to a seller. They're visiting they're visiting the website, they're getting self-educated, they're looking at analyst reports and so on and so forth. So the notion of projecting value into that part of the buyer journey when they're not even talking to the seller, massively important. One of our customers publish their value calculation, which capabilities, which allows a prospect to interact a little bit. We're in this industry, we're this kind of use case, this kind of regional profile, et cetera, and produce a hypothesis of value in literally a few seconds. In the first 60 days, they had that published on their website. They had 6,000 visits, 600 sales accepted leads that represented over $100 million in pipeline potential. And that was the part of that process where I'm not even talking to a salesperson. I'm on the website, interacting with the system, understanding the use case and applicability and economic value to me.
So Jim, I'm sorry, we're coming up on time, and we want to make sure we get some additional questions in before we wrap up.
Yeah,
this all sounds great. In terms of companies that haven't adopted this mindset, let's put DecisionLink aside. Companies that haven't adopted this mindset of focusing on value creation or establishing a value chain for their end customers, what are the hurdles that they need to overcome, and how can they overcome them? Any words of wisdom for senior executives that might be listening that are sort of like, wow, how do I put this in place? We're so stuck in sort of our way of doing things. Yeah. What are the one or two steps that they can take right now that can position themselves to start to shift the context towards value creation and creating value?
So, yeah, great question. Everybody thinks in terms of we want to bring value to our customers, right? There's very few that don't think that way. And so my starting point, I would suggest getting 2 books. One was written by Bill McDermott, the former CEO of SAP and now CEO of ServiceNow, and read the 24th chapter of that book, where he talks about how they fixed SAP by doing 2 things. One is they had weekly meetings at every level of the company, talking about their top 10 deals and how they're going to win them. That makes sense. And that was from the CEO on down. And the second was by instituting a value engineering capability in their business. The second book would be one that my co-founder, John Porter, probably knows more about value management than anybody on earth. John Porter wrote called A Value Practitioner's Guide that lays out, it's not about DecisionLink, it's not about our product, lays out the step-by-step what you need to do to establish a value management capability in your organization. It is a short read. It's about 180 pages, I think. A lot of pictures in it, so it didn't bore me out of my mind. But that book is the first book published in the industry that talks about the how-to and from a practitioner's guide point of view that anybody can follow and say, this gives me a map of what I need to do.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. We could go on for a whole hour. This is a very riveting topic, but we're up on time. Jim, it's been great to have you as a guest. We have to keep in touch with you. Congratulations on creating a new segment. Why disrupt the market when you can create a new market, right? So congratulations for doing that. What an interesting 10-year journey, I'm sure, but congratulations on your success.
Indeed.
So stay with us as we go off the air. Let's just announce what we got coming up for the rest of the week. I think we have 2 more shows. Carlos? You're on mute.
Well, Kim, blame Kim. She's the one who said, put yourself on mute. We can hear you drinking water. We can hear you drinking water. Okay, so I'm the mute guy here. That's my trademark. Tulio, Kim, Jim, tomorrow we're going to be speaking with Tara Youngblood, the CEO and co-founder of Chili Sleep. And the topic is improving work life through sleep tech. I look forward to that one, sleep tech, okay? And then Thursday, we'll be speaking with Subha Sethi, the Vice President of Loyalty Projects at Synchrony. And the topic is going to be innovation in e-commerce in a COVID-19 world. So that's what we have for this week, tomorrow, and Thursday. Tulio, unless you have the one for Wednesday, that's all I have. For Wednesday morning, that's all I have.
We don't have a Wednesday morning this week, so see you all back tomorrow at noon Pacific. Thanks for being with us. Cheers.
Thank you very much.